Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 71. I'm Austin.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are back yet again.
Yes, we are.
For the 71st time in order. We have never missed a week once. Not one time. Today, we are talking about staying home for college. So, Caleb and I both have stayed in our hometown, elected to do that, to go to college. I guess we're lucky enough to have academic institutions in the immediate vicinity of the area, meaning I think I drive like 25 minutes to school every day, and I'm much further than you, kind of.
Yeah, I'm about 15 or so.
So we're just going to talk about some pros of that, some cons of that, and just kind of give a little bit of our experience on why we chose to do that and what we've kind of experienced through that process. So if you're new to the show, this is the Back to School series, which is a however long we want it to be series of podcasts where we talk about back to school. It's soon, whether you want it to be or not. We go to school in I don't know, I guess 15 days because we go back on the 16th. So yeah, we just have been doing that. Also, we normally do every Friday this kind of show. Sometimes it's less back to school focused. It's more just kind of like lifestyle focused, where Caleb and I drop knowledge bombs every week. So if you're into that, every Friday, audio and video. And we also do Caddy Corner after hours every Friday, or not Friday, Wednesday, audio only. Whatever we want to talk about for as long as we want to talk about it. Okay, Caleb, take it away.
Boom. All right. Staying home for college. The very first thing that I have on my list here, and the reason why I did it, is cost savings. Yeah. Staying home brings that number down
significantly.
Mm-hmm. You no longer have to pay for a room. You don't have to pay for transportation most of the time. And student loan debt is one of the most stressful things, probably. I don't enjoy being in debt at all, So whenever I was going to college, I was thinking about how can I make this number as small as possible, because I really don't want to have to be paying for it for so long, and I don't want to have this big scary number always looking at me, and staying home for college was one of the ways that I decided to have a little school discount.
Yeah, it is crazy how much it costs to live on campus.
Yeah.
Because that's a number that, I never even thought about, because I kind of made the decision to stay home for college, pretty much immediately into senior year.
Yeah.
It was that was my kind of game plan. And so, but dude, it's nuts.
So nuts.
It's crazy. And I mean, obviously, your college towns know you have people coming in and out, and so, rent's expensive and whatever. So it's worth considering because it's a serious thing, you know what I mean? It's basically you have your tuition cost and then times that by 2, and that's your student loans because of your living situation.
Right.
And your eating situation, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not great. I also think, too, piggybacking off of that same thing, that was the reason why I stayed home from school, too, just because one of the reasons, at least, just one major less stressor is not having to worry about living on campus and
right.
paying that money.
Yeah.
But also, too, because you don't have those expenses and that debt that you're eventually going to have to pay back, you also do have some flexibility in the way that you spend your money. You know what I mean? We, for example, started this podcast, which required some kind of financial investment. We also are camera people in some kind of ways, so we've invested into that. You have your guitars. I mean, it's just we have the flexibility to have hobbies outside of school because we aren't paying $15K a semester to live in Salisbury.
Yeah.
So there's something, to say about that. It's important. It's something to consider is especially because you're going to a new college town. If you had a high school job, you don't have that anymore because you live 2 hours away. So that's something to consider, It's also kind of a more competitive entry-level job market if you're in a college town because everybody's trying to be a waitress or a clerk,
right?
Because that's what everybody can do feasibly, and so you have to consider that as well because maybe on top of your now way more expensive room and eating situation, you might not be able to become, a Burger King cashier because everybody else beat you to the punch. You know, so that's worth considering too. Is whenever you go to your fancy college town, you might not have a job. Very possible.
That is very possible.
Happens to a lot of people. You never know what you're going to have on campus. You never know if you're going to be able to have your car even.
Right.
So then that significantly limits your like job pool and stuff like that. So
definitely.
And we can transition into kind of another thing that I think is super positive about staying home for college, which is less transition. Like there's less of a transitional period. I have this as a pro and a con. I think that there are some cons to it, but I think that's something that a lot of freshmen in college and probably forever, I don't know, I guess, but the transition from like living with your family or whatever your living situation was whenever you were in your hometown going to high school and then transitioning to college, you have like a lot more things that you have to worry about. I think that is a positive to not have those things because then you can focus on your school. You don't have to like worry about like what you're going to eat for dinner. You know what I mean? Because you got like your family who either makes your dinner or there's going to be something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have other people to kind of help you out. Whereas if you live in a dorm, then you've got your roommate who, might not know how to do anything, and the kitchen's on the bottom floor, and you got to walk downstairs in your Crocs, and that's not great.
Yeah.
So I think that that's super positive, and it's super hard to transition all of the aspects of your life. We just talked a little bit about like transitioning jobs. Like that sucks. Like applying for stupid high school, college jobs is a waste of time. It's super annoying, like it's just not a fun thing to do. Also transitioning like your entire life. Like maybe you live in a dorm that like doesn't have like a stove. So then you can't make your mac and cheese or you can't make your grilled cheese or whatever you like to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like it might happen, maybe all you've got is like a toaster. It's a tough life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not making a macaroni and a toaster.
No, you sure aren't. You know what I mean? And if you are, send us a video. That would be sweet. You know what I mean? But seriously, there's like, I think that having less transition is super positive especially whenever you're like 18, fresh out of high school, and like don't know how to do anything. Like whenever I was 18, I didn't know how to cook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know how to do anything.
Right.
Not that I'm like some sort of genius now, but I'm smarter now than I was when I was 18.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely agree. The next thing that I have on my list is a familiar environment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a super positive thing whenever you live in a place for your whole life maybe, or for at least a significant period of your life, and then you choose to go to college in that same area, then it's going to be somewhere that you're familiar with. You're going to know how to get around. You're going to know where the stuff is. You're going to know where the grocery store is, and then restaurants, all kinds of stuff, all the things that you would need. You already know where they are. And I think that is just
super positive.
Super positive. And then along with that, you also have your family, which is all going to be there too. Mm-hmm. Your friends from high school that didn't go to college, they're all going to be there too. And so just all of these familiar environments that you have or that you've had, you will still have. And so, yeah, I think that's another thing. Just like what you were saying, less of a transition. Mm-hmm. It's super helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Because it just takes one level of stress off of the going to college experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like like especially like one of the other points that I have for pros is like you have your support system that's still intact, which is like we're from small town America, so nobody really leaves. And so all of my family is here. And so if I ever am like feeling down in the dumps, I can just go and like hang out with my family, I guess, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I need somebody to make fun of, I can like, my little sister's here, so I have the opportunity to bully somebody, and it's great, Yeah. And so I think that that's something that's important. A lot of people take that for granted, especially whenever you're in high school. You don't realize, like how, I don't know, how much you like rely on your family or how much of an impact that they play in your life or whatever. And I guess I don't like really know how much they do either because I've never left. But at the same time, like I think I have like some level of gratitude for that. You know what I mean? Like that's something definitely. That'll always kind of stick around or whatever. So, and that, I mean, it's super helpful too because like you have somebody that you can ask questions to. You have somebody like if you can't remember how to like submit your insurance to the school, you can ask like your mom or your dad, and they probably know. You know what I mean? Because they know how to read the insurance card. You know, it's in your wallet or whatever. And so like you don't, because it's too many numbers and letters and it's just dumb. So it's helpful to have those kinds of things. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I think so.
No, I definitely agree with you because I'm the exact same way.
Yeah,
Every time it comes to starting a new school year and you always have to do all the stuff and all the paperwork, every time I'm going to my mom being like, what do I do?
Yes.
You know?
Like, which numbers do they want?
Yeah, it's so confusing.
It is.
So much information.
It is. And it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that there's just something that's like impactful about that. And it's like too, the way that I've always kind of felt is it's like you have like you're like cheerleaders that are like there with you. You know what I mean? Like your family's never really gonna like hate on you. You know what I mean? At least in my experience, I've never really had that before. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just feels like there's like not any stress to like I don't know have to like please people because like I never have really felt like that because like I know that my family like at least kind of gets it or whatever. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. It just makes that's another level of stress that you don't have to really worry about too. Is because like if everything goes south, like you have your family that you can like fall back on. You know what I mean? So yeah, helps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. The next thing that I have is the convenience of commuting. I think that whenever you avoid the need to relocate, it saves you time and it saves you stress because you don't have to worry about moving all your stuff and forgetting something at home. If you're moving 3.5 hours away, you don't have to, I guess, like move your focus to something else whenever you should be thinking about school. You don't have to worry about life as much, I guess.
Completely.
And yeah, I just think that we both go to college in our hometown or whatever, you know, but we commute there. I know people who've went to the same school that we went to, and they went to go live on campus, which, sure, if you want that experience and you think that that is going to add to it for you, then do it, whatever. But for me, that's just one extra thing that I don't have to worry about now because all of my stuff that I own stayed in my bedroom at my house, and I don't have to worry about taking it somewhere else, you know, and just adding some different kind of stress level that wasn't needed because I live 15 minutes down the road from the school.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's the way that I felt about it is it's like if you went to go live in a dorm at your high school. Yeah, it's basically what it'd be like.
I feel like the same thing. Yeah, it's like, exactly.
It doesn't make a difference if you do it or not, you know, if that's what you want. Because I see where people come from because you go to college and you want the full experience, whatever. I don't really know much about that.
Yeah, we don't fall into that category at all.
Yeah, I don't go to college for the parties or the experience or anything. I go for school pretty much. But if that's you, then cool, do it. And I understand why you feel that way, but it's just not my vibe.
Yeah, I get that too. I mean, that's like the kind of angle that we kind of both came at it from. I feel like. And I think that that's a decision that I think is important to like you need to know that about yourself before you either stay home for school or move away from school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it would have been dumb of me to expect the full college experience, but live in my childhood home and like go to school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that would be a dumb thing for me to expect to get. You know?
Right.
Or vice versa. Like if I moved away from school and or if I moved away for school and all I was trying to do was like learn stuff, like it would be dumb for me to expect that would be the most efficient way to do that because there's so many other distractions. Yeah. And that's another pro that I have about staying in your hometown for school is there's less distractions. And that's because, and I was thinking about this earlier when I wrote this down, but I think there's something to this is like, even it, like, let's say that you live in like Raleigh, and so like staying in your hometown for school would mean going to NC State, right? You're still from Raleigh, and so none of the cool things that happen in Raleigh are cool to you.
Right.
Same thing as how none of the cool things that happen in like Salisbury are cool to us because they've always been there.
Yeah.
I don't care that the Cheerwine Festival is happening.
Yeah.
I just don't care. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I don't care that Farmers Day happens in my hometown every year.
Right.
I can't care less. because it's not cool to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you live in Raleigh, you have the same thing. If you're from somewhere, it just kind of innately becomes less cool. And so then you just are less distracted by the things going on. And then also, too, like, I don't know, staying home is just like, you don't have the transitions like we've talked about, too. Those are distractions from your studies. Is like, where am I going to put my microwave? Or like, what am I going to eat for, like, what am I going to go to the grocery store and buy? Like, those are distractions from your studies that you can kind of avoid by, like, living at home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, people don't think about that.
No. Because I don't think whenever you're 17, 18, you don't think about how, like, those decisions, like, make a difference. Like, what am I going to buy from the grocery store matters. That's what you're going to eat for the whole week. You know what I mean? Or, like, you don't think about, like, I don't know. There's so many, like, how am I going to get around campus? Like, it's big. I can't ride a skateboard. Like, what do I do now? You know what I mean? You don't think about little things like that, you know? Because especially if you're, like, from a place like us, you just assume that you can drive everywhere all the time and park on the side of the road for free.
Right.
And, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just assume that the cashier at Food Line is going to bag your stuff. But what happens whenever you go to, like, an Aldi and you've never been to an Aldi before? Next thing you know, you're just carrying all of your stuff like this, you know, and you're all confused.
Yeah, because you forgot to bring your reusable bag.
Yeah, exactly. But you never know because you've never been before, you know? There's just a lot of, like, little inconveniences whenever you've, like, especially when you're that young, because when you're 18, you've never gone grocery shopping before, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if you have, it's been with your family, and you're not thinking, I wonder why mom brings those reusable bags to Aldi all the time.
Yeah.
You're not thinking that.
No.
You know what I mean? But then whenever you, like, I don't know, I guess grow up a little bit, like, you kind of understand, like, oh, they just don't give you bags, you know? But that's an inconvenience if you've never had that happen before. And there's so many of those, like, little inconveniences. Like, whenever I go to visit Chloe, she goes to App State, for the audience that's listening, and, like, every time that I go and see her, all I can think about is, like, I have to go park on the main street in downtown, and I have to pay to park somewhere. And it's, like, not a big deal, but it's, like, that's an inconvenience that, like, I wouldn't normally think about. You know what I mean? Like, I have to remember to pay to park here so that way my car is there when I come back. Yeah. You know? Whereas I don't have to ever worry about that here, you know? So it's just little things like that. Yeah. It's confusing.
Yeah, definitely. I think another one of the pros is networking opportunities. Staying in your hometown, and I'm not saying that there are not networking opportunities whenever you go away to school, because I would honestly argue that there's probably more.
Definitely.
But I would say that if you are living the small town normal life, then you're probably going to be there for a while, you know? And so being able to stay home and make professional connections with people that are in your community can definitely be beneficial for future job opportunities in that town, because, like I said, I feel like the small town norm is your parents go to a high school, and then they have you, and then you go to that high school, and then your kids go to that high school, and then it's just like this long line of things. And so just one of those things that if you stay home, then you can make those connections in your community, which then become job opportunities, maybe. Who knows? But, again, that can also be a negative thing if you stay home from college, because you don't get to go out and make connections with people that you would have never been able to meet if you didn't go to this new place. As creative people, we both get inspired more whenever we travel. And so that is definitely something that going away would have helped us with, I think. But, yeah, so there you go, pro and con.
Yeah, I have that on my cons. And I think that I have that written down as a con just because when I think about networking for what we do, I just think we live in a horrible place for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, if I was into construction, then I think we live in a pretty good place for that. You know what I mean? Or I don't know, like insurance sales, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like barbecue restaurants, you know? There's lots of networking opportunities. But I just mean like in all, there really is though, you know what I mean? But like there's, I honestly really, and I mean, I there's definitely like some wrongness in this way of thinking, but maybe not. I don't know anybody in the immediate area, like in the greater area that we live in, like 30 miles in any direction, that like makes videos for a living. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just something to that. And I mean, it's kind of whatever, but it's just like, even if I like, even what's 30 miles away? Is UNCC 30 miles away?
Probably.
If I went there, then like, it's no different. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just different everywhere that you go. Because maybe your hometown, maybe wherever you're from, they have a lot of people who make videos for a living. You know what I mean? And so if you're into that, you can talk to them. But maybe they don't have as many construction companies. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So it just kind of depends on where you are with what you can network with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that like I've met who like, and I think that's just because like our school has like a ecology focus, but they want to be like park rangers. I'm like, who do you talk to about that here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you talk to like state park rangers.
Dan Nicholas.
Yeah, I guess that's true. See, but like I'm not even thinking about that. Like I'm thinking, how are they going to talk to somebody who lives in like Utah easily? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just kind of depends on where you live is what I mean. Like based off of who you can network with. It's all about who you're around and whatever your community's into. And that's kind of who you have access to. So
yeah,
it's worth considering that too. Like think about if you're going to stay home for college or not. Like, can you make connections, or can you pursue whatever your passion is, like in your hometown feasibly? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's important.
Yeah.
Because like if you're really into surfing, but you live in Kansas, then that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Not much you can do really. You have to get out of there. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cons. I have a couple more cons. I think, or what? Do you have any more pros?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can just talk about these. I think that there's something to that. So the networking one, we just talked about that for a little while, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. But another thing that is a kind of a con, and this is just in our case because I don't know if, like I said, like my previous example where it's like if you live in Raleigh, then you have NC State. We live in like a small town, and so typically small town equals smaller school, which equals less degree works or less professors or whatever. And so if that's something that matters to you, you need to like be aware. Like I ended up choosing the school that I chose to go to that is local because it had a digital media production program, which is exactly, I didn't really want like a film degree. That's not really what I'm into. I'm just a guy who makes videos. I'm not really into like film. You know what I mean? It's not really what I do. So it's important to pay attention to that, because if you can get your degree that you're looking for in your hometown, then like that's something that you should consider. But also if you live somewhere and you want to study digital media production, but your hometown school doesn't have that, then you need to like know that. That's useful information. You know what I mean? Don't assume that every school like teaches the same thing. And also it's important too, because not every school teaches every program at the same level. Even big universities have specializations, whether it comes to facilities or just like really well respected professors in their field or whatever. So it's worth paying attention to that big time. And then also my last con that I want to talk about is something that I call small town syndrome, which we talked about a little bit. This is just kind of a general like living in small town, hometown vibes. I think I consider it a con, but maybe you can consider it a pro. But it's like whenever you go to a small town or you go to a small college or whatever, everybody knows everybody, which means everybody knows everybody's like drama. Everybody's like whatever is kind of going on like in their life. That's just because word gets around. And so especially if you're from not a small place and you go like to a small, whatever kind of school, and you like moved away or whatever, like maybe you're on like an athletic scholarship or whatever, that's the kind of life that like you're going to kind of get. You know what I mean? Like all of the normal like talk around the town, like that's real. Like the stuff that you see in like sitcoms, like that's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I consider that a con. It's like funny to me, just because it's like the movies, but it's just something to consider. So, because everybody always talks about everybody, and it just kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how it is, small town syndrome. But at the same time, like maybe you can consider it a pro too, because everybody knows everybody. So if you get in like a car accident, then everybody's, thinking about you for a day, at least, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I personally consider it a con, but it just kind of depends on who you are, I guess. Would you do it differently if you could start over? No?
No, that's actually one thing that I tell everybody.
Yeah.
Whenever they ask me about the way that I did college, because the way that I did it, I went to community college for 2 years, and then I transferred to a 4-year. It's not a university, but
I always call it an institution.
Yeah, 4-year institution. For my last 2 years, whenever I graduated high school, it was post-COVID, but still kind of
2021.
in the midst of all the nasty and messy, and
it was weird still. Weird time.
Yeah, it was a weird time. And so everyone who graduated in the year that I graduated could go to Rowan Cabarrus Community College 2 years for free. And so I hopped right on that train.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was trying to save the money. And so that's the route that I decided to take. And dude, I would not change it if I could.
I don't think I would either, because the way that I kind of looked at it too is like, it was a weird time. It was COVID. Like when we were deciding to go to school, it was COVID. So there was a lot of places that you just couldn't tour.
Right.
And even the tours that I went on 3 tours, and they were like very strange. It was like no insides, like everybody's masked up, so you don't know what anybody like looks like, but you also can't understand what they're saying because it's windy and you can't read their lips. And anyway, so like, I don't know. It's just, and then I kind of like had that in my brain. It was like, who knows how long this thing's gonna go on? So it like doesn't really matter if I live on campus, because who knows if I'm going to even be able to like talk to people, because we're in like a pandemic type of situation. And I think that COVID did have like a role that played into like choosing to go to school, like when I did, or where I did, or whatever. But also too, like I think that I've always wanted to like do things outside of school. So like doing the podcast or making videos or whatever. And so I knew that I would just have the extra time if I lived here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of what it was for me, is I wouldn't have to worry about, like, keeping myself alive. I could just worry about, like, getting better at making videos or trying to figure out, like, what that means, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also the way that I think about it, too, is, like, there's always time to leave. You know what I mean? There's always time to leave.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's like, I always say that, like, where we're from is not for young people, and I think that that's true, but at the same time, like, I'm not in like a rush to leave. You know what I mean? There's like something about it that's like weird.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I always have thought too.
Yeah.
We live in one of the smallest towns that I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, every time I drive through downtown, you know, the one road,
just something
a football field long.
Just something about it.
There's something about it every time.
Just something about it.
Every time I see those little ghetto rundown stores that are still, people are going in them and coming out with bags of stuff. And, you know, the restaurants down there that it's like, if you eat there, you're probably getting food poisoning, but people still eat it. You know, there's just something about living in a small town, I think, that is just, it's an incredible experience. If you've never done it before, then I'm honestly sad for you.
The thing is like, no matter what we do after college is always going to be home.
Yeah.
There's no, like, you can't change that.
Yeah.
You can't change where you're from. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not trying to get like all sentimental about like where we live or anything like that, because it has its cons, trust me.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's just something about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's always going to be home. And there's always time to go, you know, other places, and I don't know. You don't always get to be home. And then I also like don't take for granted, like, not everybody gets to like live close to their grandparents. Like, my grandparents are my neighbors. You know what I mean? And like, not everybody gets to be close to their like every level of their family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also too, something that I think about a lot is like pretty much nobody from our graduating class like went away for school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty much nobody.
Yeah.
Like I actually don't think I can name one person that like I would classify as went away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Me either.
So, like, that's crazy, you know? I wonder, like, what that is. Probably something with, like, COVID and weirdness. But yeah, I mean, it's really not that bad.
No.
Like, I whenever school's is in full effect, I really, really love my, like, living in my hometown school work routine.
Yeah.
It's, like, one of my favorite things, dude.
Yeah, me too.
Because I got, like, full-time school. I got part-time work. I got making YouTube videos and all that stuff. I'm always busy, you know what I mean? And then, like, I don't know. Back to school is my favorite time of the year because it's nice and cold and wintry. So,
right.
Yeah. I always get like perked up about that, but like just happy. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Living at home for college, it's not that bad.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like if take anything away from this podcast, Caleb and I fully recommend it. there definitely is some suck involved in some kind of ways, but I think it's probably a net positive in a lot of cases. So if you have any kind of like specific questions, feel free to reach out because Caleb and I will try our best. We're kind of pros at living at home for college at this point. You know what I mean? So seriously, if you have questions or anything like that, just feel free to reach out because we will try our best to answer that. And hopefully you guys are at least going to consider it, because there's a lot of pros. We do this kind of show every single Friday. This is a part of the Back to School series where we talk about back to school. Said it in the beginning of the show, but don't really know how much longer it's going to go on. Probably like 2 or 3 more episodes. Definitely 2 because we have 2 that we're going to do as a every year type of thing for the Back to School series. But who knows? We might go for a little longer, but who knows? At least 2 more weeks though. But we also do the not Back to School series version of the show where we just kind of talk about like general lifestyle tips, and Caleb and I just spread knowledge from our limited but vast life experience. So if you're into that, every Friday, like and subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And if you're on the audio platforms, check out Caddy Corner After Hours. Just scroll down one podcast, listen to that, and you're going to hear whatever Caleb and I are going to talk about in like 5 minutes because we still have got to record that, hence the name After Hours. I'm Austin. He's Caleb. We will see you all next week.
Peace.